Corvette. I mean, you can sit with me, that's fine. Go for it. But I'm gonna film a video, so you can't sit here. Hey guys, and welcome back to my channel. I'm Britt, and if you haven't subscribed yet, you probably should, because I normally talk about geeky things, but sometimes I tell you guys the stories about the reasons why I drink. So today's wine story time is going to be about the time that I interviewed with a fake agent. So those of you who really know me know that I'm an actor, have been for a very, very long time. I started acting officially when I was in 7th grade. Did musical theater for a very long time. Did mostly theater, not musical theater, but I did both for a very long time. I decided I wanted to start branching out into other things, and the last few years I've been doing mostly voiceover work and things like that, which I love doing, and it's great. I don't make a ton of money, but anyway, so when I was about 20 years old, I decided I was going to actually get an agent. I don't have one right now. I would be working a lot more. I'd be making a lot more money if I had an agent, but it's just not something feasible for me at the moment. And this is going to be something that is also going to be kind of a lesson for those of you who want to go out and find yourself an agent. Go for it. Find an agent. Agents are great. I wish I was at a point in my life where I could get an agent. I just can't really create a proper demo reel in order to entice an agent. And because of my teeth right now, doing on-camera stuff is a little bit more difficult. So that's why I tend to do just things I find on my own, especially with voiceover. But either way, one of the big things I want to make sure everybody understands who may or may not be looking for an agent is you never pay your agent. And that is the big thing that is going to be talked about today. And okay, to be fair, she wasn't a fake agent. This agency wasn't a fake agency. It was a real agency, but the problem was that it was an agency designed for models versus designed for actors. And that's just something I didn't know when I interviewed with them. So let's back up. When I was in high school and I was doing theater, I became friends with this girl who also was big into theater and acting and things like that. But she also wanted to try her hand at modeling, which, to be honest with you, she's the perfect kind of person for. The only kind of downside is that she is shorter than your average model tends to be, but she can work heels, so she's great. And she modeled for a while, but we're gonna get into that. So, hey guys, editing Britt popping in. I do make this realization later when I was filming the video, but I figured right now would be the perfect time to bring this to light. It was not this friend that brought up the agency to me. It was actually another actor friend that brought up the agency to me. I'm the one who notified this friend of the agency. I do realize my mistake a little bit later in the video, but I thought I would just throw this in here right now, because the conversation about this friend is actually also very important to the story itself. So enjoy the rest of the video. Bye. She was the one who brought up this agency to me. I had not heard of this agency or anything like that, but she had mentioned it, that she was going to interview with them and possibly sign with them and blah, blah, blah. So I looked into them and I noticed that they were mostly a modeling agency that was going to move into the acting agency realm. So I was like, cool, I'm getting on the ground floor of this agency going into acting, and that's great. I set up a meeting with their head agent, and she met me in St. Cloud. So this particular company was not in St. Cloud, but in like the St. Cloud area, which is central Minnesota, heading closer to the Twin Cities than your average like central Minnesota, but either way, small area. It's not the Twin Cities, and that should have been my first real big red flag, that it should have been set in the Twin Cities. It just wasn't. And the agency that I do plan on signing with, if I ever do decide to actually sign with an agency here in Minnesota, is from downtown Minneapolis, so we're good there. I actually had a friend that was signed with them for a while when he was living here. Well, he wasn't really a friend, he worked with my dad, but my dad connected the two of us so I could learn more about acting and everything like that, because he was an actor. He was actually in a bunch of movies. Old School with Will Ferrell, he was in that. But he worked with my dad when he lived here in Minnesota, but he eventually moved back to LA to pursue acting a little bit more heavily. So anyway, that was back when I was in high school. I still have his headshot somewhere. So I met with this lady from the agency, and I don't think this agency still exists anymore, but if it does, I've tried looking it up, but they don't have a website, but they have like business like listings and whatnot, so I don't know if it still exists. I've been tempted to call the phone number, but then I'm afraid that somebody else will pick up and be like, I have no idea what you're talking about. Anyway, I was just curious if it was still in existence, but I don't think so. I set this meeting with this lady. She says, okay, well, we need headshots. I'm like, okay, great. Forgot that I didn't have any headshots. So I went home to the Brainerd Lakes area, to Brainerd, and I got with this photographer that does a lot of really good stuff for like the area, high schools and things like that. He's not the one that took my senior pictures. I should have gone back to the lady that did my senior pictures. I just didn't think of that. But I went to him. He was really inexpensive. He signed over all the rights so that you could print your own headshots and things like that as you need them versus you having to go through him all the time. So I got my headshots done, and they were terrible headshots. Like, I'll be honest with you, because I didn't know how to makeup at the time. My best example of how to makeup was doing theater makeup, which is very different. So as I was trying to do like what I saw on normal people, the foundation was not the right color for me. I turned into an Oompa Loompa, and I don't know what it was with that sweater. I loved that sweater at that time in my life. They were terrible headshots. But either way, at the time, I was really proud of them, and it had nothing to do with the photographer. The photographer took really good photos, and not all of them were terrible. It's just I looked terrible because I didn't know how to make up, and I don't know who let me color my hair slightly red, like with a red tint. I don't know who let me do that because it was not a good choice for me. But I loved the photos at the time. So I got an 8x10, I got my resume, and those are the only things you really need as an actor going in to talk to an agency. You either need your headshot and your resume, or a voice demo and your resume, or just a demo reel in general, whether you've already done some film work. Especially if it's like a student and the student isn't going to pay you for being in their movie, just ask them for the ability to use part of their film in a demo reel, because then that way you can at least use it for your future some way or another, in one way or another. I had my headshot, I had my resume, and this is a resume that was very well like put together. Matter of fact, I had two professional actors look at it. One was a voiceover actor that is here in Minnesota, not an anime voiceover actor. And another one was actually one of my college professors, which will be in a Hawaiian Storytime sometime in the future. I kind of hinted at it in my GeekCon story a couple of months ago, but he actually did a few episodes of Star Trek, the original Star Trek, back in the 60s. He even has a Wikipedia page. He passed away recently. And so I had them look at my resume, and both of them were like impressed, thinking that I was so young and I have already done so much in my life. And one of the things that the voiceover actor told me about my resume was that I can put anything in there. So like this, my YouTube channel is now part of my resume, because it's me talking in front of the camera and getting comfortable in front of the camera, getting comfortable talking and doing things and being weird. Because that's one of the things, especially if you want to do on-camera work, is you need to get comfortable in front of the camera, because a camera is a very strange thing. So this is on my resume. The panels that I used to host are on my resume. The couple of times that Kyle has helped me with my acting is on my resume as training. So there's a lot of things I have. My martial arts is on my resume. I mean, there's so many things that you can be putting on your resume as an actor that I never even thought of putting on there, but the voiceover actor was like, no, put all of these on there. So this is all on my resume. I wasn't doing YouTube at the time, so that wasn't on my resume. It was right before I started doing YouTube. So I went to this meeting. She met me in St. Cloud at a coffee shop in St. Cloud, and I gave her my headshot, I gave her my resume, and she was looking over it, and she kind of pushed my resume off to the side. She didn't even pay attention to my resume. She just kind of like tossed it off to the side. And I was kind of confused about that, and then she looked at my photo for a little while, and she goes, so why are you giving me an 8x10? And I said, because that's what you give, is an 8x10. And she goes, well, no. And so then she pulls out of her bag a comp card. So if you guys are unfamiliar with what a comp card is, it is something that is used in the modeling world, not the acting world, to showcase different styles, different clothing, your whole body, your half body, your headshot. It is supposed to be a very well-rounded idea of what you look like and who you are. As an actor, that's not so important. As an actor, you just need a headshot from like here up. essentially, is all you really need. You don't need more than that. A lot of actors will still, since it's usually a full photo shoot, a lot of actors will still do a lot of model-y poses, but for the most part, what they're looking for is chest up, or, you know, hips up or whatever like that. But for the most part, all they care about is this. That's what on-screen generally cares about. Plus, on your resume, you put your weight and you put your size, your, you know, your dress size, your bust size, if you're a woman, that kind of thing, if you're biologically a woman, that kind of thing. But that's always on your resume. All that stuff is there, so they can see that. Your eye color, your hair color, blah, blah, blah. So a lot of times, headshots are also going to be in black and white. They're not going to be in color, so that's why you have your eye color, your hair color on there. Anyway, so she pushed my resume off to the side. She pulls out this comp card and hands it to me. She goes, "This is what I expect out of my clients." She goes, "You notice in this photo how you can see so many different things about this." Oh, you know what? It wasn't her. It was Sarah. It was Sarah that got me. I was trying to remember how I figured out about this company, but you know what? I think it was Sarah. Terrible. No, I think it was Sarah, and then I got her, and I got my other friend involved. That's how I think it happened. Anyway, sorry. My brain just decided to think of a whole different thing. Anyway, sorry, moving on. She goes, "Do you see how in this comp card you can see so many different angles and different outfits and movements and things like that with these people?" And I said, I mean, yeah, I can see that, but I'm an actor, not a model. And she goes, "Well, I want my clients to be able to do both, not just one or the other. And I'm sorry, but I could not send this one 8x10 to any of my possible clients, business clients." So I said, "Okay, cool. Tell me what you want. I'll go back to my photographer and I will get it figured out. I'm sure he can figure out how to do a comp card. We'll do a few different outfits. We'll do a few different locations." She goes, "No." She goes, "The chances of me signing anybody without using our own in-house photographer is slim. So why don't you go ahead and pay me $250 to use our in-house photographer?" Luckily, I had already heard many times from people, do not pay your agent. End of story, end of sentence, end of everything. Do not pay your agent. The only time it's ever acceptable to pay your agent when there's a lot of clients and you want to be on their website so that you have a bigger opportunity to get work, then you can pay for like a vacancy spot on their website. But even then, that's, from what I understand, not a ton of money. But don't pay for classes, don't pay for photography, don't pay for anything. The agent makes money off of you. And if the agent is telling you to pay them, even if it's for photography or if it's for classes, then they don't get you work enough is the big thing. So either they're a scam completely, which I don't think this one was a scam necessarily, or they don't get you enough jobs to make enough money off of you specifically like that. So I was like, "No, you know what? I think I'm going to continue using my own photographer." She goes, "And I think this is done. And besides, there's no way with your teeth I'd ever get you any work." And I go, "Okay, first of all, one, we're talking about central Minnesota. It's not like we're talking about Oscar-worthy movies. Second of all, even if I did do modeling, Pouty is much more in right now. Nobody would know that my teeth look like this." She's like, "But the teeth have got to go." Like, the only thing that I would even remotely think is that you could take photos with braces on and showcase those braces and say, "Look, she's actually working on trying to make herself look better." I was pissed. So I had walked to campus and then walked from campus to this place because I had class right before. So then I walked back to campus. And on the way back to campus, I rocked out to Bon Jovi's "It's My Life" because that's one of my favorite. I mean, I've got more pissed off songs now, but that was at the time my favorite pissed off song. But then at the end of the day, Sarah and my other friend ended up signing with these people. And Sarah, I remember specifically, now that I remembered it was Sarah told me specifically she never got really any work. I think she got like one movie, and that was it. And then my other friend got to spend a whole bunch of money taking their classes, doing photography with them, and all that stuff, but I don't think she ever really made a ton of money doing what she was doing. And she ended up having like this kind of breakdown because she lived the model life, the I can't eat anything ever model life, and it was really unfortunate for her. It actually ruined our friendship for a little while because I was a dream crushing train. I think is what she said to me, because I told her what had happened to me, and I was like, I don't think they're a decent agency. I think it's better off if we all look for a different agency. And she's like, well, just because it didn't work out for you doesn't mean it won't work out for me. And I'm like, well, of course not. Like, sure, but these red flags are like very normal red flags that everybody should be staying away from. She's like, and she just assumed that I was just hurt and upset. But in reality, yes, I was hurt and upset. But at the same time, like there were some serious red flags when it came to this. And I was like, you know what? We need to stay away from this. We need to make sure that we're not spending money on these people. But again, I don't think she worked very much. And obviously this company doesn't really exist anymore as far as I know. And that, ladies and gentlemen, is one of the reasons why I drink. So if you can learn anything from this story, especially if you're an actor or a model, understand, do not pay your agent anything. Just, your agent makes a little bit of money off the top from you, about 10 to 15% off of your paychecks. And if they're asking you for money, chances are good they're either a scam or they're not going to get you enough jobs, and they're hoping that you can just pay them money out of your own pocket. Just, if you're going to sign with an agency, take that word of advice and go for it. I was in the agency pool for a little while. Again, nothing wrong with agencies, but it just didn't work out for me, and I'm not in a place in my life where I can start working like that. So hopefully soon I can start doing that over hopefully the next year. That would be a great thing that I would love to start doing again. But as of right now, not a place in my life where I can do that because I can't get a voice demo done right now. But anyway, like I said, take a word of advice. That is this kind of thing you gotta stay away from. Anyway, I'll see you guys all next week. I'm gonna finish my wine because this is good wine. And my mom and I are gonna watch a movie tonight. I'm very excited about it. Have a good night, everyone. Bye. You got comfortable just as I was about to turn off the camera. Oh, my kid. Oh, my kid. Oh, my kid. Oh, dude. She's the best kitty in the whole wide world. She's the best kitty.